My name's Dave, American Dirtbaggers.
John, American Dirtbaggers.
My name's Niall. I go by Joe. Either or, doesn't matter. Did 20 years, Marine Corps, retired.
20 years, Marine Corps, combat vet.
Combat vet.
Why Joe, not Niall?
Long story short, I was doing a lot of traveling, getting ready for a mission in the Middle East.
Okay.
And it was just a whole lot easier. All the people I was having to meet and talk to, just telling them Joe, like, hey, my name's Joe, versus Niall, and explaining the name Niall. Not that I'm very proud of my name. It was my grandfather's name, Niall Joseph Fiocchi the first. Niall Joseph Fiocchi. I'm Niall Joseph Fiocchi the second.
Oh,
very
nice.
proud of the name. And I'm Niall Joseph Fiocchi the third. But it was just easier when you're going through and you're meeting a revolving door of people. Just be like, hey, dude, I'm Joe. You know.
Yep.
So such a complicated thought process was going through my head, is because I remember when I had him in class. So we met at UTI. I had him in class, and Cindy's like, "What do you think about Joe?" Like, who the hell is Joe? She's like, the big guy. I mean, like, Niall? Because if your name's on a roll sheet, that's who you are.
The clipboard says.
And she says, no, his name's Joe. He goes by Joe. I'm like, huh. So I wondered this whole time, almost a couple of years now since I had you in the very first class, why Joe? Why not Niall? And it's something so simple. It's just because it's easier than trying to explain Niall.
Yep, it was super easy because I probably had to deal with talking to coordination through maybe 100 people, and having to explain it 100 times got old. So literally, it's just like, dude, I'm Joe.
Right on, dude.
Something so basic and so simple, but yeah.
So where'd you grow up, Joe?
I was born in Wheeling, West Virginia, and I guess my whole life has been a lot of just moving around. And I know as a kid, my parents moved around a lot. Born in West Virginia, first couple years I think of my life, they lived there or a year or two, and then we moved to Pittsburgh, and finally ended up in Somerset, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately known for stuff like the Flight 93. So Flight 93 on September 11th, that was about 10 minutes away from where I lived.
Wow.
As well as the Q Creek mine incident. I know that was made into a movie too, where the 9 miners got trapped under. I think it was 9 that got trapped underground. That happened while I was in boot camp. So
a lot of history in that area.
Yeah.
And you said you knew the people that owned the land where Flight 90. Yep.
Yes, sir. They where Flight 93 crashed. We knew the folks that owned that land when it happened. It's been since, I think it's turned over to the National Park Service, I believe. I know that it's federal land now. I want to say National Park Service is the one, but I could be wrong.
Because of the crash?
Yes. Yeah,
That's
they
crazy.
turned it over to them because they turned it into the memorial, and I've yet to be there or gone there. And that was a very pivotal day in my life too, because that's what sealed the deal of me joining the Marine Corps.
That's crazy. Yeah. So that happened, and at that point you weren't sure which direction you were going?
No.
Did your dad or grandparents serve in the military?
On my mom's side, we've had a kind of Lieutenant Dan moment. We've had somebody serve in every major war since the Revolution.
No shit.
Yes. Other than Vietnam that I know of and the Persian Gulf. But no, we've had, I can't even remember, my grandfather was very big into genealogy, and he took it back, and we've had multiple family members serve in the Revolutionary War, Civil War.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool history.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it just, from a young age, I kind of felt the calling. Like, I was really big. I'd play Army Men when I'd get in trouble. My parents didn't ground me from video games. I mean, granted, those weren't big back then, but they'd take away my Army stuff from me.
Those old Green Army, remember that?
Oh, man. I had it all. I had freaking, Army clothes and gear and everything, and I'd get in trouble and I'd get that stuff taken away from me. I'd be grounded from it. And but no, up until September 11th, I kind of went back and forth, and I was like, man, I don't know. I was about to go to school, and decided, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go be a diesel mechanic and go to a school that they had in Cumberland, Maryland. And September 11th happened, and I'm like, nope, I'm going to go do other things now.
Yeah.
Why the Marines? My son's a Marine. You know that.
Yes,
8
sir.
years. And he picked the Marines because he's like, it's the hardest one, Dad. Then why wouldn't you go with the easiest one? I mean, I just the mentality I'm trying to understand, if that makes sense.
For me, it was just always an all or nothing thing, and it's still to this day. If I'm going to do something, I may as well go all the way in, and that's the way I saw the Marine Corps. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all in. And I guess kind of like a retribution thing. You know, if that's what they're going to do to us, like I want to be able to give them some payback, and I figured the Marines were going to be the ones that were going to be able to do it the best. So,
Cool. So you were in Pennsylvania when you enlisted?
yes, sir. So I was a senior in high school on September 11th, and the crash was close enough to the school. The Flight 93 was close enough to the school that we could actually kind of feel the school shake a little bit. I had a kid in class be like, "Did y'all feel that?" And it didn't make much sense at the time. I was like, "Feel what?" Until a little bit later, I was in Algebra 2. I still remember to this day, I was in Algebra 2.
Dude, that's crazy. Yep.
And one of the kids, he's just like, "Did y'all feel that?" And I was like, "What are you talking about, man?"
So it hit home.
Yep, yes, sir. It was right there.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's, the company he was working for at the time, they stepped up. They were doing food service for the workers who were working the crash site itself there.
Yeah.
And then the one day, kind of like we were talking about earlier, they gathered a group of us together. We were going to try to go out and help with the recovery efforts. And there was about, probably 10 of us packed in 2 pickup trucks. And it was it was like a cow pasture road. It wasn't even like a road, just where you would take the tractors back into the field, just 2 little dirt strips where the wheels would go. And there was some federal agent there, and he stopped us and radioed some people, and they turned us around because they didn't want anybody under 18 to go back there. At the time I was 17. We had a couple folks who were like 16, 15 with us, so they turned us around to head back. But it was right there.
That's crazy.
That's crazy that the young Americans at that age are going out there to help. Now they won't let them, but they're willing to help. Society's changed over.
I know. So you think about like World War II area where people were getting false IDs. They're too young, but they wanted to go and join. That's almost that same. Because I know, like, I was teaching at UTI when that happened.
So was I. I was an EM.
And I remember how that impacted us and the students thousands of miles away. But it was still America. But it was right in your backyard.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep, it was. They let us out of school early that day. And people calling all of our friends and family that were like, "Oh, you live in Pennsylvania, like, are you okay?" It's like, yeah, it was close by, but yeah, we're okay. It was right there. Yeah.
Crazy.
Literally close to home.
I met a couple of people that were, one was supposed to be in tower, the first tower that got hit, called in sick that day. And the other one, her husband was supposed to be in the other tower, but was down getting a croissant or something when it hit. And they had to come across the bridge with all the debris, those pictures of all the people. They come across, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just, hearing their story, like your story, it just brings it home to surreal. That just took America from where we were just cruising along to, fuck this.
We got punched in the face, yep.
It's shockingly enough, I, through the club, knew a guy when I first came in. He was actually in the towers both times they got hit.
No shit.
Yes. He was in the towers both times they got hit.
And he made it out.
And he made it out.
Fuck. You said what club?
I was a member of the Leathernecks MC.
Yeah.
I was in Mad Dog chapter. And then, he was with us. He was there. Yeah. And, it was, he told a story.
So when you said both times, you had one tower, then the other tower?
91.
Or 91 where they blew up in the basement?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And then he helped us. I can't remember his whole story, but I want to say it was in the September 11th, 2001 attack that him and his brother, the only thing that he was focused on was getting his brother out.
Right.
Because they were in the tower together.
Yep.
It's you fucking Marines. You the Marines, they're just never not on guard. That's once they become a Marine, it's just like, fuck, it never goes away. Not a bad thing. It's just you don't, it's not you, it's who's around you.
Yes, sir.
Get them fixed first.
One's a Marine always.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sounds like you were a Marine before you were a Marine.
Yeah, pretty much. It was bound to happen. I'm sure if you asked my parents, they knew before I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But.
So 9/11 happened, the plane crash, traumatic. Did you get to see any of you didn't get close enough? They wouldn't let you?
No, we were pretty far out. I had a couple friends, so it was out that way. We don't, it's so rural. There was probably more cattle in our county than there were people. So all we have is volunteer fire departments, which, mad props to those guys. They give up their free time to go out and they help people, like volunteer all firefighters, period, and first responders. But I mean, these folks do it for no pay.
We do an event on 9/11 too. We go visit local fire departments wherever we're at, and do a video and an interview with them too. Say thanks to them too, because it's not just the military. Don't get me wrong; they give us the right to be dicks, but the fire department, the police department, give us rights to protect us here at home, on ground. So, 9/11, last 3 years we've done something every 9/11 too as well. So,
and it's, sorry. They do everything. They keep us safe back here stateside.
Yeah.
I mean, thankful for everything that they do. The volunteer fire departments out that way. I mean, you're talking about kids 16 older that were volunteer firefighters that were out there, and they were somehow, I guess, because they were the firefighters, they were out there doing the recovery effort.
That had to be traumatic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I know how it impacted me. I was on the way to UTI. Yeah. I'm driving in. I'm listening to Howard Stern. Howard Stern, and he's talking about a plane just hit the tower, and he's going. I'm like, this is not fucking funny. What are you doing, Howard? And I turned it up, and then I could hear in his voice the distress. I'm like, what the fuck?
No.
And I get to work. We call home office. They're like, turn TVs on in every room that you got them. If a student says he doesn't feel comfortable, he wants to leave, you do not touch his time. I mean, it just impacted the world. Well, the United States. I don't know about the world, but it impacted the United States. So
I remember I was teaching night classes or afternoon nights, and I'd go on a bike ride in the morning. Came home. I was sitting in the jacuzzi in the apartment complex. When all this was happening, so I was clueless, and I walk up and I see a message on the answering machine. Play it. It's my mom. She's like, "Hey, I'm just seeing if everybody's okay with all the craziness going on in the world." I'm like, "Craziness going on in the world?" So I turn on the TV, and I'm watching the replay.
Yep.
And it's just, I remember going, "Wow!" I mean, it was surreal.
Yeah.
Watching that.
It was like watching a movie.
Yep. And then going to school, and the students are trying to digest this.
Yeah.
And I remember in class, they're like, "What are we going to do?" They're asking me, "What are we going to do?" And it's like, this is the first time I'm experiencing something like this of this magnitude,
Crazy.
Yeah. So it was a wild day. Yeah.
So that drove you to the Marine Corps.
It did. I little over 2 weeks. So that was September 11th. September 27th, I was at...
that was 2020...
Or 2001.
2001,
September,
okay.
Yep.
And,
September 2001.
So, September 27th, 2001, I was at the MEPS. That's Military Entrance Processing, whatever.
Right
MEPS.
after.
Yes, sir. I think that day or the next day I called my recruiter. Because I'd started talking to the recruiter when I was in 10th grade, which I guess they can't technically talk to you until you're a senior. And so, but I mean, I've been going and talking to him, the Marine recruiter, nobody else, Marine recruiter, since I've been in 10th grade. And, that's what I'm saying. I think my parents knew before I did. But I had wrote it off, and then that day was it. I called him. 2 weeks later, I was at MEPS swearing in.
San Diego?
No, I was on the East Coast. Yes, sir.
On the East Coast, sorry.
So that would have been in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Man, that was a crazy day. And looking back at it, that you get up early, they put you in there. I don't know if it's just purposely or just collateral. Super stressful. You get there early, you're there all day. Hadn't taken my ASVAB yet, which is the
test,
the aptitude test. Man, excuse me.
Good whiskey.
Hadn't taken that, yeah. Of course, it'd be as soon as I start talking, I start getting burps. But I had to take that day. We have to go through all this stuff. That's where you get to freaking bend over and show your butthole to the old man and freaking duck walk in your underwear and shit. And it's anybody that's been in the military will be able to tell you about their experience of showing their butthole to the old man. And but no, I mean, that was it. That was the day. I hadn't had a job set yet. It was kind of just open contract at the time. I was still toying around. Like, I want to do infantry. That's what I wanted. I was like, again, like I said, retribution. Like, I wanted retribution.
Right.
And I wanted payback. But this was September. This is the very end of the fiscal year. And so for the folks listening, military runs off of like your financial type of thing. So you have your quarters, and we don't do calendar year. Everything works off of fiscal year. So
September 30th it ends, October 1st it starts. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then they, like, at the time, I guess, I don't know if it's still the same way, but they would release jobs and openings and quotas and stuff like that at the beginning of every quarter. Well, especially at the end of the freaking fiscal year, they didn't have anything open, so I just swore it. But I wanted to do infantry. So went there, swore in, do my thing that way. And my recruiter, I don't know if he was trying to help me out or what, but he was like, no, dude, there's no infantry slots open. And so I was like, okay,
How tall are you?
I am 6'4", 6'5", depending on who's measuring me.
Okay. So I'm thinking a big 6'4", 6'5" white guy running at me, and I'm in the military. I'm going to run the other way.
Actually, at the time, I was like at that time, I was probably about 6'2". I grew the extra couple inches after I joined.
Right. Okay.
And man, I was skinny though. Like I was probably about $140.
Oh shit.
I was.
Beanpole.
I was. I mean, I was. They used to call me Baby Draft. But they didn't have any. He told me, he's like, we don't have anything open infantry. So I was like, okay, I'll go tanker. You know what? I want something. I want combat arms. Like, I'll go tanker.
You just want a revenge.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Sorry, we cuss.
No, you're good. I wanted to feel it out beforehand.
Yeah.
I cuss a lot too.
Let them go.
All right, I'll let them fly. Wait till actually I wanted to show you. So like I was born in West Virginia. We got our map of West Virginia here.
Right.
And so if we talk about West Virginia, we got the state, lower Panhandle, upper Panhandle. This is where I was born in West Virginia, right?
that answers a lot of questions right there.
That makes a lot of sense now. Now we got it. Yeah.
But. So I finally settled on that for a while, and I mean, we had a good set of recruiting corps back then. I mean, it was a whole lot different back in those days than it is nowadays. Like we're wartime, we're getting ready to amp up, go to war, and I mean we were doing relatively brutal kind of what they call DEP meeting, delayed entry program. So you're enlisted or you've sworn in, but you haven't like gone to boot camp yet. And so we would do that stuff, and I finally decided one day, like, I don't want to do tanker. Like, I want to be freaking infantry. So they sold me on doing what was called forward observer, or artillery. I think they call it like artillery scout, but forward observer is like what it's commonly known as. And what you'll do is you'll be an artilleryman. You'll go forward with the grunts, and you'll be able to call in artillery fires on target. So you're kind of like a super grunt at that point is what it was, told to me as. And so I was like, okay, cool. But what they didn't explain is that in the Marine Corps, they can't offer you, like, you don't sign a contract for a specific MOS or a specific job. They can only offer a job field. So basically what they signed me on as an artilleryman, short story long, I ended up being a cannoneer in the long run. So I was a cannon cocker, or gun bunny, whatever you want to call it. Like,
what size guns?
155 millimeter.
Ooh, big ones, yeah.
Yep.
My son was the guy that repaired them when they broke.
Gun doc.
Okay. So, I trust you on that one, yeah.
Yeah, we would gun doctor, be like, doctor, how's it going?
So there was an area they would promise you, but a lot of different positions in that.
So it's like, we can, for me it was artillery. In the artillery field, the 08 field, you have cannon crewman, cannoneer, you have fire direction control, and those are the guys that sit behind the computers and they fucking type all the shit up and press buttons, and then they tell you what numbers to put on the gun and go. You have like survey, which is kind of like land surveyors to be able to put in freaking points. I feel like I may be missing a couple of the enlisted guys there, but I mean there's a bunch of different fields for it. But yeah, so I ended up being a cannon crewman, and I mean it's a pretty simple job. And I mean, honestly, like, it's one of those jobs where it sucks, but when you're a freaking cannon crewman, like, you own that shit. That's your fucking shit.
Sure.
And
because 100% no matter what you're doing.
Yep, exactly. You're 100% of what you're doing.
Crazy
so
murder.
At that point, like, you're the baddest motherfucker at that shit.
Right.
And so I mean, I loved it. Like, I wouldn't have done it over again if I had a chance. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it was a really cool job. There's, I mean, a lot that goes into it. It's not just like, you know, the old timey days where you freaking like throw a charge down the tube and then you throw a freaking cannonball behind it and then you freaking light the fuse and it goes. I mean, you know, you have your fire direction control guys that sit behind the computer and then they give you fucking numbers and they put those fucking numbers on the guns.
You know, when all that broke out and we went into, was it Iraq? Or we chased, you know.
Well, so we went in. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but I don't think a lot of people, I know myself, we didn't realize the technology in all that until because that was like the first war that was aired live on the news, right? So you're watching.
Korea wasn't really aired live.
Yeah, you're hearing.
Even in Persian Gulf, I mean, you had some of the technologies, but not like it was during.
So you're watching a missile take a left on Main Street, go down 2nd Street, and go right to the through that window to hit that one thing that, I mean, it was amazing.
And that's what they did with the artillery is they, you know, the Marine Corps doesn't do anything half-assed. They try to turn a freaking area fire weapon into a sniper rifle. And so, I mean, they have these dudes, and you know, mad props to any of my FDC guys out there listening, but I'm going to call y'all nerds. You got these nerds that sit behind the computer, they work out the fucking data, and then they send it down to the gun line. In those days, it was all voice. You'd send it through freaking hooks, and they'd send it down to the gun line. And I'm talking about you have your charge, which is your powder, your propellant.
Right.
So there was multiple different ones you can use and multiple different variants, depending on how far, how short you want to go, how freaking high of elevation you want to go. Like, I mean, we could shoot super far, we could shoot super flat, we can shoot freaking super close, super flat, we can shoot like up over mountains and hit the opposite side. I mean, like, you name it, we can do it.
That's
and
crazy.
It's not just like a cannonball, like, okay, well, world or Civil War, like freaking boom, shoot a freaking cannonball. I mean, we have ones.
You're like, we blew up that side of the window, but it went right through that guy's head.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, but now, I mean, we have like what they call like HE rounds, high explosive. So, man, this is a long rabbit hole I can go down. But you can hit it, hits the ground, explodes, causes shrapnel. You can blow it up in the air over top of the troops. We had freaking mines we can drop. We had freaking. And this is at the time. I mean,
that was in 2001.
2002 is when I finally went to boot camp. I'll back up there.
So 2002, you went to boot camp.
Yes.
Where'd you go to boot camp at?
I went to boot camp in Parris Island, South Carolina.
Okay.
July 7th, 2000. Well, July 8th, 2002. I ended up on the Yellow Footprints in Parris Island, like super early in the morning. And for anybody who's not been in South Carolina in July, it is a very warm and muggy time. So just imagine being in a sauna.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, no, humidity sucks.
What a perfect time to go through boot camp, huh?
I wanted to go as soon as possible, and that was the soonest they can. If I could have gone in June, I would have gone in June after I graduated.
So you enlisted in July of 01?
September of 01.
September of 01, sorry, September of 01.
Yes, sir.
But you weren't able to go until July because you had to graduate high school.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I graduated May 31st of 02. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I graduated May 31st, 2002. Had a month off during that time. Got to have a lot of cool little fun times. Went to the beach. Went to Mexico. Went to Cancun.
And your parents knew you were going?
Yes. They had to sign off for me because when I signed into the late entry program, both of my parents had to sign off because I was only 17 at the time.
Got you. Yeah. Okay. All right.
My mom cried. I didn't see her. My mom's a super tough woman. I probably could count on one hand how many times I've seen her cry in my life. She's super tough, and she deals with stuff on her own as she needs to, and keeps moving forward with it. Wow. She signed off on it for me, and July. I think it was July. I left July 7th of 2002. Got on Parris Island July 8th of 2002. So 3 months, 13 weeks of suck.
Yeah. I used to get letters back going, your son's doing fine. If you want to write him letters, you can, Okay.
Nowadays, apparently, you can go online and you type in your letter and they print it out and give it to him.
Nice.
One of my buddies has a daughter in boot camp right now that you can just type him out a letter and it delivers to him.
Nice.
Now, while you're in boot camp, could you get stuff?
Yes and no.
So I had a friend who was a good friend of mine when I lived in Indianapolis. He was in Special Forces, and he had stories about when he was going to boot camp. and he got like his mom like sent him cupcakes or something, and he said he just watched everybody eat them except for him. Like they would say, "These are really good, John. Thank you."
Yeah.
If you got cookies or some shit like that, it depended on who was the DI in charge that night, the drill instructor. But sometimes they would, if you got cookies in the mail, you'd be the only one eating them, and you would eat them all, and then you would go to the quarterdeck, and they would PT you until you threw up.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Dear Mom,
don't send cookies.
Don't send cookies. But then you always have those assholes. I thought about doing it to my son when he was in Navy boot camp. I was going to send him, be like, "You're drilling. I hear that you talk about your I can't think of what the Navy calls them, but like you're the Navy variant of the drill instructor. I hear that you say they're pussies, and what do they call them? It's oh my goodness, I'm sure somebody's gonna say it in the comments for this video or whatever. Like, oh, it's this, but
you were gonna get your son.
Oh, I thought about it.
That's fucked up.
But I didn't. But yeah, there was certain stuff though that they're like, hey, they can send. So Gatorade powder, power bars, and they'd send.
I'd send them like 2 cookies.
Nope. I was nice. I was nice.
No, I mean like if they meet them all, you're only eating 2, right?
Yeah.
A funny story with that though is we had a kid that I guess he talked to his parents and they snuck him like little snack size freaking candy bars in like socks because we could get socks. And for anybody listening, holy shit, socks are fucking amazing.
Socks.
If you are doing anything like very active, whether it be hiking or patrolling or anything like that, fucking having good wool socks is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Nice wool socks.
You know, that's funny because my buddy John talked about that when he was going through training. He goes, he couldn't have packed enough socks.
Yes.
Because you just go through socks. They get wet. He was talking about how they get wet.
And they give you just shitty cotton socks.
Yeah.
I've gotten big into the outdoors over the last couple of years. I'll get into in a little bit. But, I mean, man, fucking socks I can't say enough about that when you're doing outdoor shit. Just clothing in general. But, like, wool is the super fucking fiber. And so wool is like naturally moisture wicking. So especially when you're wearing socks, like if your feet get wet, it's going to try to like do its best to pull the moisture away from your feet. So even especially if it's like sweat, it doesn't hold it against your feet like cotton does. It does its best to like pull it away. So they let us have socks get sent to us there. Well, some members of his family were sending him socks balled up in the mail, and then they would sneak like little fun-sized candy bars in there. And this dumb fucking ass was on fire watch, and that's where like every night we have to have 2 recruits at the time that would patrol the squad bays all night, and they would make sure that all the weapons were locked to the rack, nobody was doing dumb shit and everything else like that. Well, this idiot, we had a stack of extra mattresses back in the corner. This idiot took this stockpile of fucking fun-sized candy bars that his family had been sending him in the mail and decided he was going to go back there and eat them. So he sits down on these mattresses, apparently starts eating candy bars, keeps all the fucking wrappers next to him, falls the fuck asleep with a stack of fucking wrappers next to him, and just racks out on these fucking mattresses. And the drill instructors caught him. So we paid for that one.
The whole group.
The whole fucking platoon paid for that shit.
That's fucking funny, yeah.
He was a pretty good dude though. He ended up freaking somehow breaking his femur on the Crucible, which is like one of the final like.
The Crucible was the last one. Climbed the big hill.
Well, West Coast, East Coast, we just have to like run through the woods and get eaten by sand fleas and mosquitoes and shit. You know. Excuse me. He broke his femur and still did a 9-mile hike back with a broken femur.
No shit.
Yep. But yeah,
did he get out or did he stay in after he healed?
I don't know. I know they kept him there. Like if you get injured bad enough, they keep you on the island until they can either rehabilitate you or freaking process you out. But yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah, there was some crazy shit that happened at boot camp, but
this is even before you got deployed.
This is that would have been sometime between July and October. I can't remember of 2002. Graduated October of 2002. Went home on my boot leave. I think I ended up getting what they call recruiter's assistant, so I got to stay home for a little bit longer, but my recruiter also gave me a fucking folder like, hey, here's a list of names of kids who are in high school. Fucking call these people and tell them to join the Marine Corps or whatever. So I spend 6 hours a day just going through a list of fucking phone numbers. Hey, do you want to join? Hey, this is PFC Yawkey. Do you want to join the Marine Corps? No? Okay. Oh, wait. yeah, I'll just go fuck myself. Okay, thank you, bye.
That's crazy.
And again, this is 2002, so it's not cell phones, it's landlines, and you're getting parents and everybody the fuck else, and right after September 11th, and they definitely don't want their little kid, their little Johnny boy to freaking run off to war, and definitely got to expand my vocabulary during that time of like what people thought of. Then you get the Marine Corps. After boot camp, you go through Marine combat training, which at the time was I think it was total of 28 days, 21 days you spend in the field.
Where at?
This was Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Camp Lejeune, okay, that's where my son got out of. Camp Lejeune.
I fucking love that area. I fucking love North Carolina. North Carolina is like a more relaxed version of California in the way that you have the beach, and a couple hours later you can be up in the mountains. My daughter still lives there. My daughter Destiny lives in the western side of North Carolina.
Nice.
The only difference is the humidity is about 1,200% there. Still gets hot as fuck in the summer.
Fucking 1,200%. All right.
Man, one of my lasting memories of MCT was the last couple of days we were there was end of October into the beginning of November, and I mean it gets cold as shit there. And our last night that we spent in the field, they had us all lay down, and for folks that don't know, like the ground side MOS is like, we don't use fucking tents when we go to the field. You lay your shit on the ground, you go the fuck to sleep, you wake up, you roll your shit up, you throw it in your pack, and you fucking go. It fucking frosted on us that night. We wake up the next morning, it was like a 9 or a fucking 12-mile hike back to civilization the next day. And you're not allowed to wear warming layers. Like, you're not allowed to wear long underwear. You're not allowed to wear a sweatshirt. Like,
oh, shit.
So what they would do is they would line the platoons up on each side of the road. You would drop your fucking pants to your knees, and you would fucking unbutton we call them blouses, but like your shirt. So you'd unbutton it, you have it hanging open, and you'd be standing there in your fucking chonies hanging out freaking, so that way the instructors can make sure, like, hey, dude's not wearing freaking sweatpants or long underwear underneath his uniform. He doesn't have a freaking top on. You button it back up, and you'd walk. And I mean, there was frost on our fucking shit, so it was fucking cold as shit.
Fuck.
But again, it's the Marine Corps is a system. They have a system of everything that they do that way, and it helps prepare you. And I honestly thank God. Like, there's so many situations in life that I probably would have just gave up on if I wouldn't have fucking had this like beat into my brain. There's no fucking give up. You don't fucking give up. You just keep fucking.
So they
going.
really toughen you up.
They make you dumbass, and you just kind of do what you gotta do.
You can call it what you want. I call it tough, man. That you can, a lot of people would. I don't know. I mean, you can't really. Once you're
not everybody can go into
the
military, let alone the Marine Corps.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's the thing is, I have people tell me all the time, and people feel a certain way about like, well, I almost joined, and it's like, okay, like you almost joined, like type deal. It's everybody has their reasons for everything they do, and everybody has a place. Everybody has their place in life. They do what they're put here to do, and whether spiritualism, like we were talking about, or religion, whatever it is you want to see it as, we all have our own place in life, and we do our own thing to make, and that's what makes us a whole. That's what makes us a freaking group, and it's just all operating together, be a team.
We all can't be the big toe, can we?
I'd say I'm pinky toe.
So 2002. You get through boot camp, you're all done. The war's just really starting to take off.
Still 2002, that's when they started in Afghanistan. Go from MCT, we do that little hike, we go to freaking, I go from there to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for my job training school. Between there, I'd gotten MRSA, myoxicillin resistant, something blah, 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 bullshit. And so I got holed up a little bit, and it is, but I didn't give a fucking shit. Like I wanted to go, and they were just holding me back. And
I heard that too. Is that your phone?
That's my phone.
Okay.
That's you. Okay. But I got held back. I missed a class date by like 2 days for my job training school, so I got out to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, just after. It would have been right before Thanksgiving of 2002. Missed the class, fucking super pissed, because pretty much everybody in that class got to go into the fucking invasion. And that's like, man, I don't live on regrets, because like everything happens for a reason. But like, fuck, I wish I would have been in the invasion.
The invasion.
I wish I would.
That's the start.
And the start of the war in Iraq, and I missed out on it because I got this fucking abscess.
And that was into 2002?
That the invasion started in 2003, but the ramp up started with all of the units towards like the end of 2002, making their way to Kuwait and getting into Kuwait to get into Iraq.
Yeah.
So I make it out there, I get in, and I'm out there and I'm just fucking around waiting for my next school day to start. So make it all the way through. We do our Christmas leave and everything. I come back after the New Year. Somehow I got pneumonia over Christmas. Christmas leave, I get there, and at Fort Sill we would do runs with the Army. I think it was like regimental runs or something at the time, and so the Marines would run with all the Army because we're all there together. And I was like, man, I can't fucking do this shit. Like 3.5 miles, I finish it out, freaking. I go to what we call sick call, it's just kind of like go to the doctor afterwards. And this is probably about 2 or 3 hours after we did our 3-mile run. They put me in there and they hooked me up to the machine, and they're like, dude, your fucking pulse is at like 180 beats per minute.
Wow.
And they're like, what the fuck? Like, dude, you're like not doing anything and your pulse is at 180 beats per minute. Like, something's fucking wrong. And so they ended up finding out I had like a pretty severe case of pneumonia. Like, I knew I was sick, but like I wasn't going to fucking get dropped back again.
Yeah, you're just plowing through it, yeah.
And so they ended up like, I missed 2 days of class, but they still like brought me in. They're like, fuck it, like we need everybody we can get. It was so crazy during that time with the invasion like pending and everything like that. They were like, fuck it. They shortened our class from, I think it was like 6 weeks was what it was supposed to be. They dropped it back to 4 weeks. And like everybody made it through. And even after missing those 2 days of class, because I was put on freaking what we call SIQ, sick in quarters, like I couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. I still ended up finishing second in my class out of probably close to 100 students.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And when was this? What time frame?
This was like January of 2003.
Okay. Real quick, before we go any further, just thanks for the podcast.
Thanks for coming out here, man. It's great getting to see y'all. I wish I had more time to make it out there to Southern California to see all my friends out there.
We'll come up regularly and hang out with you just to give you a hard time.
Oh, fuck it. You're always welcome here.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
We'll freaking, maybe next time.
We'll get an Airbnb a little bit closer.
I'm still mad about that. Don't go down that line. Fuckers.
There's probably one in this neighborhood.
Right.
It probably is.
Yeah.
So
2003, you get through pneumonia.
Well, kind of like an offshoot here real quick.
Oh, okay, sure.
So I kind of fell into one of the NHRA teams when I was with UTI because they were looking for one of the students or a couple of the students to come help them set up and take down.
What team?
I'll tell you off the line. I don't want to throw it out there because I don't know how. Like,
yeah. No worries.
But apparently, like the driver, from what I've heard, when he's here and he's a champion, like gets an Airbnb somewhere in this area every time he's out this way. So anytime, like when they were back out here and at the end of the season last time, I called him up. I called up their guy that's in charge of hospitality there, and me and my son Milo, we went out and helped them like tear down their hospitality shit on. And they bring us in. I mean, they're super cool. They bring us in, give us fucking free tickets, and go out and help them. So we're hoping to get in with them again in April.
NASCAR is that like kind of America?
No,
NHRA.
NHRA. I'm sorry, NHRA is same difference.
It's America. I mean, they're
racing
it's
is racing.
family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking dude. I would love to throw the name out there, but I also don't want to do it without like their permission.
No worries. We appreciate that. Yeah.
They've been great to us. That's the fourth race I've helped them with. Pomona last year I helped them with. At the beginning of the season, that's when we had that crazy freak fucking hailstorm roll through, and we're out there like trying to take down their freaking hospitality suite and lightning. Anyhow,
20 years your son's gonna be telling this story, and he's gonna be, you what I fucking did when I was a kid. Right now, it doesn't impact because it's norm. It's the norm.
That's gonna be the Eagles concert.
Yeah.
My mom went to an Eagles concert in '79 or something. And
how's your mom?
That's in their prime too.
Yeah.
How's your mom?
She's She's born in 58. Yeah.
She's 6 years older than us. Yeah.
How old is she?
66.
She's born in 58.
She's 58. She'll be 67 this year. I'll be 61.
Yeah.
And so she went to it. I'm sure when she went to her first Eagles concert, she didn't think she was going to be going to an Eagles concert or experience like we talked about with
that's crazy.
Her son and her grandson. And I mean, he had a blast. And the only thing that sucked is we had some of those woo girls behind us whenever we were going. I could have freaking lost the shit. They'd sit there and talk all that. Long story, I'd get sidetracked, but yeah. Anyhow,
so I'll kind of springboard off your sidetrack. So the first concert, and we grew up in a great era because like the Eagles and all that. We were around in their prime.
Oh yeah,
Stones,
Zeppelin.
all that.
Oh man, I wish I could have been around there in those
Rolling
times.
Stones, Aerosmith.
So my first concert, my first real concert, was Journey. So it was Eldenova, Triumph, Blue Oyster Cult, Journey was the main band.
You know, my first concert was Aldenova, Triumph, Journey, and Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah, we went to the same concert. And this was what, 83?
83, we didn't know each other.
In the Rose Bowl, in the Pasadena.
Man, I bet, and that's where I say, like, the Eagles here now is not a concert, it's an experience.
Yeah.
There's a difference, when you're listening to shitty fucking sound.
Right, you're giving them a flavor of what happened, what was once was.
And they did use mixers and all that shit in the studios.
They played in the studio,
live.
They didn't have 176 fucking thousand speakers and fucking LED light shows and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
But my wife Ellen, her favorite band is Journey, and so we're trying to get her to a freaking Journey concert.
Love Journey. We watched that 19. Was it 83? I thought it was 81.
I don't know, dude.
I thought it was 81 because I was a lot younger. 83, I'd have been.
I was 16, so whatever year I turned 16.
80.
I was born in 65, so figure it out.
I think it was 81. Yeah.
I don't want to do math.
Y'all want me to make feel old? I wasn't even born yet.
Shut up,
dude. Trust me, we've had so many. We feel old
How
moments.
Old are you?
I was born in 84, so I'm
84.
So my son was born in 85.
I graduated high school in 84.
I got kicked out of high school in 83.
I should say I should have scheduled to graduate in 84. I was sitting in a jail cell in 84.
Yeah. It tends to happen in small towns.
Beach is a small town.
When we go to the Pioneer Saloon tomorrow, I want to hear this story about it.
All right. Well, that's for sure.
It's a good story.
I don't doubt it. That
so 2003 January, you're out of boot camp. You're out of training.
So I finish February 1st of 2003. I check into Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, 2nd Battalion, 10th Marines, Echo Battery. We get there. They'd been, that time was a fucking, emotional roller coaster.
I bet.
It was like, hey, we're fucking going. Pack all your shit. Get it all in the fucking Connex's boxes. We're going. Oh, never mind. Stand down. We're going. Stand down. We're going. Stand down. We're going. Stand down. Finally, we were working an air show, so we would take our freaking gun and we'd set it up at the freaking at the air show at Cherry Point, North Carolina. And we finally get the call, hey, you're deploying. It's like, oh, fuck yeah, about fucking time. And then, at this point, so March is when the invasion kicked off. I'm still stuck fucking stateside. I remember watching it with one of my buddies who was I think he was a comm guy with 3-6. I remember watching the invasion kick off at Hooters in Jacksonville, North Carolina.
That's fucking crazy.
And here we are, we're fucking stuck at Hooters in North Carolina instead of being in fucking Kuwait doing all the fun shit over there. And anyhow, so we finally get the call. We're going to Okinawa. So we went and did what they call the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, MU, in Okinawa. So, which later on down the road, those guys ended up getting to do a lot of stuff. I think they were part of Phantom Fury 2 in Fallujah and whatnot. But we just went over to Okinawa. We fucking had a vacation in the freaking South Pacific for 6-7 months, whatever the fuck we were over there. I got my dive cert over there. It's fucking beautiful in Okinawa. I couldn't do more than 6 months over there because I'd go be crazy, be stuck on a fucking island like that.
That's what I've heard.
And then we come back, and shortly after we got back, they gave us a word hey, you're getting stood up as the first Marine Artillery Battalion to turn into provisional infantry since the Vietnam War.
What the
fuck? Starting in February of 2004 until we deployed in September of 2004, we went through every goal post wicket of training to be basic infantrymen, with our culminating event being in March Air Force Base. So remember how it was like, I'm sure y'all both saw it. Remember how it was like super huge and they had all the base housing over there and shit.
March Air Force Base, yeah. No, I remember that big time.
Yep. And so on the other side of the 215, that used to be all base housing over there. Well, when that shut down.
I'll tell you a story about that tomorrow when we're at the bar, okay? Yeah.
I want to hear it because I'm all about history.
Yeah.
I love that shit, and I mean, if we want to wait, we'll wait.
Good fucking story for tomorrow. So my son joined January of 04. Tomorrow when we're out, I'll let you look at his DD-214. You tell me when he was over there when he was over there. If you guys were in the same area at all.
I don't remember if they have it. I'll check it out. We'll see.
I've got his DD-214. I got a picture of it.
I've looked at my DD-214 once.
Well, I had to get it for different reasons, but maybe.
That's what my wife does. She makes. She's on orders right now. She makes DD-214s for all of the Air Force reserves.
Is she military?
She is. Yeah, my wife is.
No shit. What service?
She's Air Force.
How long?
She's been, I think, 12 years now.
Really?
Yep.
She's so currently.
So she's
That's
Air Force
our next
Reserve.
Interview.
I'll tell her. Come on out here.
Yeah.
Ask her.
I'll ask her. I'm sorry.
Tell her. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to. I'm not going down that road.
She's too sweet to tell her anything. I don't want to see the mean side.
But she's Air Force Reserve, but she's on active duty orders right now. She works for basically the headquarters of the Air Force Reserve, and she makes their DD-214. So.
Oh no shit.
Yep. Hopefully that doesn't get people contacting her for shit.
We're not that big.
But they, I'd like to see that. I literally haven't looked at mine once. I made sure I had it. I was like, I got this shit. Fucking file it away and fuck
yeah, because I look at it and people ask me, what was it MOS? You did artillery. That's all I know. I'm such a horrible dad, but
I have a lot of good friends, and it's in the artillery community. Everybody helps everybody.
Right.
When we go to the field, and especially when we were like deployed into Syria and shit like that, everybody fucking helps everybody. And so, I mean, you'd have guys on gun crews that were freaking the driver of the fucking truck that was pulling the gun. You'd have guys that were on the fucking gun that were corpsmen. I mean, we'd even have corpsmen that would work fucking jobs on the gun because you only have so many people there, and there's so many positions that have to happen. And I mean, I don't know how to like encompass that all into like a short something like snippet for this, but I mean, for such a dumbass job, there's a lot that goes into it. And again, for all my 0811s out there to listen to this, it is a dumbass job, but it's a fucking amazing dumbass job. And we're gun rocks, gun bunnies. I mean, that's what we do. So we go through all this training, though, to be infantry. We culminate in March Air Force Base. They just closed down the active duty side of it, so all this housing's freaking left open. So we did, was it 2-3 weeks, months? I don't know. That was a long-ass time ago. In the housing over there, and we did all these fucking training. There was all this abandoned freaking military housing. We could literally kick in doors, didn't give a fuck, come in through windows, break windows. I remember in our time off, we'd fucking throw our Kevlars on and run at the wall with our head first at the wall and try to find a stud in the wall and freaking put holes through the wall with our fucking heads.
Fuck Marines.
Come back, we did our freaking our boot leave in September. Fuck man, I'm gonna say the 9th, September 9th. We landed in Al Taqatum, Iraq, and
Don Williams, UTI student. Army, 4 years, got out, was a prison guard for a while. Good kid. He was at UTI. We interviewed him. He reached out to me. He's like, call me when you get a chance. So good Army guy. Good kid though. Young but very mature for his age. So so that's Don't. Worst case scenario, we turn this into 2.
I don't want to waste anybody's time. I feel like my story's just bullshit.
I can take these off and just listen to your stories.
I'll tell you that right now. Nope. This is really the I don't know what to call it, but it's your experience, but not only your experience, But your experience combined with everybody else's experience, like you said, what you did was what? How would you describe what you did?
Gun bunny or
gun bunny? Yeah,
right.
Gun rock.
I tell you, those are important pieces of the puzzle, though.
Like, everybody has their place.
And exactly what you said.
So do not
this is
think
your
you're
story.
wasting our time. I'm enjoying the shit out of this. And I'll speak for John. I've known him long enough. He's enjoying the shit out of this.
This is your story, but it's more than your story. It's a mini American story, your version of it, and it's how we got to where we are. I mean, that's...
I feel like there's so many other people out there that have done so much fucking more than I have,
but everybody says the same. So every military person we've talked to says the same fucking thing. But other people have done so. But without you guys doing what you've done, the other guys couldn't have done what they fucking done.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
So it all culminates to, with every piece of the puzzle's got to do their job, or we can do ours.
We'll do a football analogy. Everybody needs a good center, right?
Yep.
Everybody needs a good wide receiver. The wide receivers, the quarterbacks, a lot of times they get the glory.
Without the
it's
running
that
back,
guard. It's the left guard, the right guard.
The centers.
It's really that's what makes the team work.
It's a team, yeah.
Yep.
So
it's what
without
makes a team work.
every one of you,
Yep.
all I did was, no, you fucking did that, though. And if you would have done that, he could have done that, he could have done that, he could have done that, and he would have killed the motherfucker.
Yeah.
And sorry, I shake a lot whenever I start talking about this
stuff.
stuff.
You ever see the movie Rudy?
Yes, I love that movie.
Right. His job was to prepare those guys.
Yep.
Like he knew, like, I'm never going to be a football player. I'm not big enough. I wasn't born for it. I don't have the DNA. But what I can do is prepare you, right? So everybody has their place.
Yeah, and I agree.
Equally important. Equally important.
And that's what honestly, like, man, I have a hard time explaining this. Like, I in my position, I know that there's so many people that have done so much fucking more. I mean, you look at all these guys that were on the ground in Fallujah and Operation Phantom Fury or freaking Kajaki or freaking Haditha or, name a battle during those times. And that's just
those are ones I've never heard of. So, I mean, that's just, I'm amazed. I've never even heard of those, but continue.
I mean, I've had those friends that have been there and they've been on the ground. They've kicked in fucking doors in Fallujah or, God, man, what the brain fart. I can't think of the fucking name of it in Iraq. And I have this happen all the time. I think it's like they say it's the side of the effect of the TBIs and stuff, but
TBIs being
so to be TBI, traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
PTSD, traumatic direct brain injury. Those kind of a lot of times go
are
hand in
fucking
hand.
real. Yeah.
And
you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Our big thing is we don't want to put you in a bad spot.
No, absolutely. I appreciate it. I'm good. It's just getting back into just calm down.
But without everybody doing what they did. So we've talked to. So at UTI, I was an instructor for everybody that knows. And I would talk to a lot of students. And I only did 4 years. I said, no, you did 4 years, but I didn't see combat. You didn't walk in knowing you weren't going to see combat. You walked in saying, I'm going to do 4 years with whatever you tell me I'm going to do.
Yep.
Fuck. 100% respect from the guy that went over there to the guy that offered to go over there.
Yep.
You still offered, so please don't ever degrade what you did. You said, here, I'm here to protect my motherfucking country.
No.
Thank you.
So, I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's just what UTI did for me, and I've told this story before, is I remember when we first started getting a big influx of vets, they gave us 2 training classes. And the biggest thing I learned was, even if the person never saw combat, but he was in country, he was on high alert the whole time. Yep. So he's going to come back with some kind of PTSD. Yep. I'm like, wow. And the way he explained it really made sense. So even for those that never saw the combat but were over there, fuck. You were there, Yeah. Even the guys that stayed stateside, they were. Any minute thinking you're going and you're over there, So no, it's real. So don't ever apologize for what you did. You don't think you did. Fuck, thank you.
I appreciate it, John.
No, fuck.
And I was watching. So I go down these.
Sorry, I get a little excited.
I appreciate it.
I go down YouTube rabbit holes, and I love the military. So you go down these, military things, special forces, and all that stuff. And I remember hearing these stories of these guys that were in Fallujah, and there were Navy SEALs. But the whole time they're telling their story, they said we couldn't thank the Marines enough because without their support, like when they thought they were done, the support, the Marines, he goes, and they kept saying, those guys were tough. Those guys are tough. Here's you got, one of the elite special forces saying, we couldn't have done it without the Marines. And it's the whole team coming together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this country's about.
Yeah.
And that's where I say, like, I mean, everybody, whether you're freaking admin and you're doing your paperwork and everything, your logistics, you're making sure that the supplies get to where they need to be. Everybody has a fucking job. You have a fucking piece of the puzzle. You do your fucking job, and that's what makes it all work.
Yep. Yeah, without the person writing the paper, you wouldn't be over there fighting for us.
Yep.
So nobody's irreplaceable. Just some people see worse than others, but everybody is as important in our opinion. So that's my opinion. I won't speak to John, but in my opinion.
Well, and with the admin, like if those guys aren't getting paid, if you're kicking in doors, you're not getting paid. If it's not for the admin guys or girls processing their freaking payments,
well, everybody's got to do their job.
Because you still have you're over there, and I know you and many other people. They're over there in battle, but you still have families over here. Yep. You still have things going on over here.
Money, rent, mortgage, car payments.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and I mean, you deal with it. You just go through it. And I mean, honestly, one of the biggest things that I miss about being in the combat zone is just like, it's fucking simple. It's fucking simple. All you're doing, it's like primal. Like you're fucking fighting for your life. You're not worried about fucking commuting to work in the morning. You're not fucking worried about all the other bullshit that goes with it. It's like, I'm just trying to survive. I mean, I survived. When I was in Iraq, so I got to Iraq in September of 2004. We flew into Al Taqadim, Iraq. I mean, it's funny. This is my first combat experience. Like, we're flying into fucking Iraq. And I want to emphasize this because we flew over Iraq airspace years later, but that's a different deployment. But the C-130 that I was on, we landed in Al Taqadim, TQ is what we used to call it. They would fucking, the C-130s would do just like some fucking crazy ass, like, hey, we're going to come in and we're going to come in super fucking sharp. It's going to be a fucking crazy drop. Just hold the fuck on. C-130s suck. I hate flying in C-130s. They have like a cargo strap ass seat, and it's just like a woven fucking basket of fucking seat. It's uncomfortable. We flew out of Kuwait. I want to say Kuwait International Airport, if I recall correctly, into TQ.
Now, did we have control of Kuwait at the time?
Oh yeah.
We'd be in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we fly in. You come in. It's kind of like a decent freaking daytime, like, and then you just fucking drop. It's just like this straight, almost come straight down, and then you fucking land like out of nowhere. And so we land. We spend a couple days there, and then we freaking move on to Abu Ghraib. So we are my company or battery. So we were. Again, it was 2nd Battalion, 10th Marines, 210. We were an artillery battalion, but we were repurposed into a provisional infantry battalion. So we got trained in the infantry. And
how many Marines total? Approximately
600-800 of us in the battalion.
Okay.
My battery, my company, Echo, we were at Abu Ghraib prison. So probably a lot of the folks, older folks listening, younger folks probably don't know what the fuck Abu Ghraib prison is. Right. But I'm sure y'all saw the freaking abuse scandal and all that shit that went on there. So that's where we were at. We were charged with the perimeter security of this prison. So they had anything from detainees there that were, picked up, processing, anything like that, to they had like no shit fucking hardened criminals. And I mean, Abu Ghraib prison, don't want to go too deep into the history of that place, but I mean, that place was a fucking hellhole. Saddam freaking made that place a fucking hellhole. And I have pictures of me standing in front of paintings of this guy fucking on the walls and shit. So you had different sites within this place, and it was about a square kilometer or a square click, as we would call it. And we had towers all around this motherfucker. We took over for, I can't remember it was a reservist infantry battalion that was there, and some of their sister companies had seen some fucking crazy shit. I mean, they had gotten fucked up while they were there. And so we took over this place. I was there from September of 2004 to April 2005. During that time, we had Operation Phantom Fury 2, which is where they fucking completely freaking cordoned off all of Fallujah. And so they cut off all the major highways. We had MSR Michigan, so Main Supply Route Michigan, and MSR Mobile, which were two of the, basically as we would consider them, interstates.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And they kind of crisscrossed literally like within miles of where we were at there. And so we're charged with we're responsible with maintaining security of this prison because we had a major freaking medical facility there. We had major detainee processing, as well as they had a hardened freaking prison site for the hardened criminals there.
More criminals.
Yeah, just criminals, period, like okay. Iraqi criminals.
Okay.
I mean, it was it was an Iraqi prison. Okay. So we're there, and I mean, it was the first fucking day we're there. There was some massive fucking indirect fire, and just kind of throw it out there ahead of time. So if I say IDF, that's indirect fire. So we had like a major event where they had like a bunch of small arms fire, as well as IDF attacking the facility, like within 24 hours of us fucking being there. And I mean, it was probably a couple days a week, if at least 1 to 2 days a week, if not more, depending on what was going on, we would get freaking either IDF or small arms fire. And just somewhere throughout the facility. And then if it wasn't something happening there, it was what they call IEDs, improvised explosive device, right, roadside IEDs, bombs next to the road.
So you were, the day one, you were on high alert.
Yes.
The stress level was through the fucking roof.
So, and it's actually good. I'm glad you say that, because that brings up to a conversation we were talking about earlier. So when I left, I can't remember what day it was that we left stateside. And this kind of goes to this military freaking suicidal freaking type stuff. At least I think. I'm not a psychiatrist or anything. I remember the day that I left, I remember riding into base with my ex-wife and my daughter at the time. We're riding into base, and they're getting ready to see me off. And I remember that, it was one of Toby Keith's songs. I can't remember. I think it was American Soldier. Or no, it was Arlington. Oh. It was American Soldier Arlington came on the radio. And it kind of hit me, and it was like, of that day at that time, like I realized, like, and I was like, man, like I knew the area, I knew is what we call the AO, area of operations at the time. Like I accepted it, like I wasn't coming home, like I didn't think I was fucking coming home.
That's scary shit.
And so I was like, fuck it, like let's go, like whatever happens. And so we went in, we fucking went over there, but yeah, like day one, like that shit was fucking taken off.
Yeah, that's what little, never military, never joined, no wars going on when I was at time to join, and there's no drive to join, and I had no one to guide me in the direction, so I didn't join. But talking to, even before my son went in, I talked to a Vietnam vet. I used to talk to him all the time. And then after my son joined, talking to people and talking to guys like you and stuff, realizing that, and then UTI with their training, it's combat fucking stress beyond fucking recognition. Mm-hmm. Even if you're not seeing combat.
I guess, I mean, I don't even know what to call it. Like, I mean...
PTSD?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of my issues don't come from specific situations. It's like we were talking about earlier, like, fuck, I shot people, but I don't give a shit. Like, shouldn't have been standing there. Like, don't shoot at me, I'm not going to shoot at you. But, like, it's not those situations that, like, affect me. It's just the fact of being on that high of alert for that long of a period of time, because they could shoot at me from there. They can shoot me there.
It's
like
the level of stress.
Yeah.
So that's, I teach at UTI. Mr. Lee, one of our instructors we worked with in Sacramento, we first started getting combat vets in, and he was teaching a basic engines class in Sacramento. and a car backfired in the dyno, and 5 guys hit the ground.
Oh man, I remember that when I came home from Iraq.
What the fuck? You can't just say, okay, you're done.
Yep.
That doesn't go out of you guys. You know, you need. My opinion is that the United States needs to do more to get you guys ready to come back out into civilization.
Can I say retard on here?
You can say whatever you want.
I'm the fucking retard that when you hear something like that, I'm not like fucking dive. I'm like, where the fuck was that shit at?
So yeah, no, I've had a lot of experience.
So when you came back, did you realize the stress that you were under, or maybe let me ask you this: maybe you didn't realize how much stress you were under until you came back?
I would say they did a pretty good job of trying to do their best. There was 2 specific days. I mean, like I said, probably a couple times a week that we would get freaking IDF. We would get small arms fire or something. Want to kind of tangent real quick, but one of my freaking most aggravating times in Iraq that just kind of fucking set me off is I was on a tower on the northwest corner of the prison. And my tower buddy was down taking a shit in the porta shitter, and I had to piss. So what we do is you just walk around the outside of the tower, and you piss off the front of the tower outside of the prison. Who gives a shit? It's no man's land between the fucking wall and the fucking wire.
And it's urine, it'll dry.
And some motherfucker, it's dark. Look at this right now. Some motherfucker decides to shoot at me, and I just hear the snaps as they go past me. I'm like, God damn it, I can't fucking piss in this fucking country without even getting fucking shot at. Like,
fuck.
I didn't even get down. I just stood there and I finished my piss. I'm like, man, fuck this shit. Like, what the fuck? But November 2nd, I think it was November 2nd was the elections that year.
That just, you were getting shot at while you were peeing.
Yep.
And you heard the bullets going by.
Yeah, it's a snap. You hear the snap as it goes past you.
And you're like, fuck it.
Yeah,
I gotta pee.
I gotta pee.
Again, though, and this is where I say, like, I don't know.
See, that's a level that you've gotten to, right? I mean, most people would freak out.
I would cry a little bit. Yeah. I mean,
it's like, and this is what makes me feel bad. Is it's like I feel like I don't even know. Like, I don't know what these things. I have a hard time processing this shit. Yeah, I mean, at that point, I've already accepted the fact that I'm not going home. So, like, fuck it. Like, this, like, shit, fuck, damn. Like, I don't know.
I'm glad you made it home.
Well, I am sometimes.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't hit the same way. Like, at that point, you've already accepted death. Like,
and what year is this?
04.
04. You know what we're going to have to do? Not that I'm saying I don't want to sit here and chop it up all night, but we're going to have to do 2 to 3 podcasts with you.
Oh, fuck, man. Nobody wants to hear my shit for that.
No, we do. Yeah. Fuck, we do, because I think you got a lot of insight, and I think a lot of people will help with you, will be helped with your insight. You know,
I just
one person. If one person is helped by your insight,
if we can save one person,
I'm a fucking happy person. You know, but not that we're done yet. I still think we got some more time. But I think that we're gonna have to literally, because we're at 2004. When did you get out?
20. Well, so my big times, there's a big break in there, but I retired in 2022.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to do 3 podcasts if you're down with it.
I'm down. Whatever. Like, my whole goal with all of this is, like, man, I've had, like we were talking about earlier, one is too many. One fucking suicide is too many.
Yeah. Thank you. How many did you lose? Do you mind if I ask?
For suicide, at least
friends,
6.
At least 6. So my son got out with 8 friends. There's 2 left.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's fucking stupid. Sorry, I get angry.
And you know, that's something. Fuck, that's something else I can go down the road of. Well, I don't. Again, this is my first time doing this. I don't really talk about this shit to anybody.
And that's you're okay. You're okay talking?
Yeah. Okay. I am. I guess I'll finish with the chronological and then kind of go down whatever side routes if we want to. Or do you want to do side routes now? I don't know.
Just wherever we go is wherever we go. We told you at the beginning. There's no.
So you're giving a lot of insight.
Fuck, man,
like tons of insight.
Tons. I could sit here and probably do 20 more of these with you just for my own information. Yep. And then
I think a lot of it when it comes to suicide is, man, when you accept death, it's like, what the fuck else is there?
Right.
Like, I accepted death in fucking September 2004. Like, what the fuck else is there? Like, what do if something goes wrong, fuck it. Who gives a shit?
And there's people out there who don't understand exactly what you're describing.
A lot.
So you're a normal kid. You think about when you're in high school, right? You're doing sports? Did you do sports?
I did, yes.
Yep,
did sports. You chase girls?
Yeah, I wasn't good at it, but I did.
Yeah. Well, I don't think any of us guys were good at it. But
I was good in my head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. But anyway, you're a normal dude. You're just a normal dude growing up. Somebody hit patriotic very much because somebody hit our country. You're like, I'm going after them. But now you put yourself in a position willingly, and you're dealing with situations that most normal people would never deal with, right? You're doing things that most normal people would never do. But you have to, because you're in that position. So you go through these experiences that most people don't go through, and then all of a sudden it's over. And you're like, holy crap. It's not over in your head, right?
I don't think there's a way to recover from that, though.
It's not over emotionally.
There's not.
You come home, it's not like you just bounce back to normal. It's like it's to me, and this is what I'm learning talking to vets like you, that it becomes who you are.
Yeah.
Because you're very formative in those ages, right? You're young and you're going through this crazy stuff, and you come
25
back.
that you finally finish like men finish. Yeah.
Right.
Developing mentally.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And and I think the reality of it sometimes, probably what you battle with is reality, and what you're thinking of, what your battles in your head is the reality of you guys are heroes. All of you guys are heroes.
I don't feel I can't.
That's the problem we have. That's the problem we have. Yeah.
But you guys, you guys face evil, so most Americans don't ever have to face evil.
And I hate,
I love that. Thank you.
Fuck, man,
that was awesome.
I appreciate it, but like, God, I don't know how to accept that. Like
of course you don't. But here I'm a guy outside looking in, looking at what you guys do, and hearing your experiences. Like, how would I deal with that in that situation?
For us, it's a job.
Yeah. I had students tell me, "Why is Joe so nice?" I said, "Because he saw evil. He doesn't have to be mad. He knows what it is."
And that's
why he's so easygoing, because you don't want to turn his evil on.
Yeah, and that is one thing I've learned. Yeah,
you've seen that dark side.
You don't.
That's why he's such a great guy.
And that's one thing I try to impress on my kids. I try like subtly, because when they're teenagers, you can't really like push too hard. But like, if something doesn't fucking need killed, why kill it?
Mm-hmm.
So my goal, I want to be an elk hunter. I want to go out. I want to fucking hunt elk. But because I want to fill my freezer with 300 pounds of freaking elk meat.
Because you're going to eat that.
Love hunters that eat their kills. Love them to death. I don't like sport hunters.
Yeah, no, like if I got a freaking
if you got an elk and brought it home,
if I got a cow elk, then I got 250 pounds of freaking meat off of a cow elk.
Yeah,
dude, that's 250 pounds of fucking fresh, the cleanest.
By the way, we all eat what somebody else has killed.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Tonight, those steaks were beautiful.
We're the bomb, by the way. Thank you for
I hope so.
Beautiful.
I would tell you. Yeah. I'd tell you.
I appreciate it.
A cow had to commit his life to it.
Yeah,
right?
And that's the thing, is like everybody commits their life to something.
Yeah,
so.
I think that I would like to do at least 2 more podcasts with them. What do you think?
Yeah.
Because we're 2004.
So I heard
and we're an hour and a half
sorry,
into
guys.
it. So
Damn shit.
Don't ever apologize.
Yeah.
No.
It's going to fast forward pretty quick from like 2005 until 2017. But
no, I just think that you've got so much, and we haven't even got into in-depth stories if you're okay with them and stuff. And then potentially your wife, if she's okay, even though she didn't see combat.
No.
But we'd still like to talk to her. We did Tiante's wife, who never saw combat. But she went into the military and said, "Okay, here I am. Where do you want me to go?" If they would have said combat,
she would have gone.
She does what she does.
Yeah, she does what she's told. That's what you do in the military.
We totally respect everybody that signed that paper. I don't care what branch you're in. If you sign that paper, thank you. You're giving us the right to do this.
I think, and it's like I said from the beginning, like I fucking hate telling my story again, because I don't think anybody gives a shit, and I don't expect for them to. But
John gives a shit, so there's 2 of us. You're wrong.
I want to help people. I've lost, more people than I want to freaking suicide, let alone everything else. I mean, war casualties is a casualty of war. But when you talk about people that freaking, afterwards that succumb to the demons, man, it's like I think the very root of it is like what I said, is like the day I left, I was not planning on coming home.
Fuck. Yeah. I'm glad you did.
Well, I appreciate
that's commitment.
And you better not think that way anymore.
I appreciate it.
We're going to jump you. We might not kick your ass, but we're going to jump you.
But I mean, that's the thing, though, is I think that's where a lot of it stems from, is it's like you just, I think life at that point, like when you give that much and when you're ready to do that much, like it loses the value. Yeah, I mean, I was already numb at that point, though. I
think that's what it becomes, is because you, and I've never seen it. I've never taken anyone's life, but to take someone's life and to have to shut that feeling off, I think you become a different person. So
I think so too. But I think it really starts at the point where you give up what value of life. Like, hey, fuck it, I'm not coming home. I literally think that's where the stem of the root of the freaking.
That's a level of commitment most people don't ever experience.
Yeah, no. So Brianna, if you're listening, you want to talk to Joe. If you wouldn't mind, I know she would love to. She does the suicide awareness, and she talks a lot about that, and she talks about what goes through you guys in the combat, whatever you're willing to share, because that
absolutely,
she does it to help people. So I think she would love talking to you, as we would love to do at least 2 more if you're okay with that.
Easy.
I've said this for a while now. Like I try to be mindful. I try to process all of my shit. Yeah. And man, I have my good days. I have my bad days. And I really do think that the root of the suicide epidemic within the military comes from that. Like, you give it up. Like, what fucking happens.
Yeah.
And then you have that dopamine hit. Like, man, y'all ride bikes. Y'all know what it's like to get these fucking highs of freaking, man, like, you will never get a fucking adrenaline high as when you're in a fucking firefight. And anybody that's ever been in the fucking firefight will tell you, like, you will not get that fucking adrenaline high.
Yep. So I had a story I had a friend that was, when I lived in Indianapolis, he was in Special Forces, and he was in the Army. He got invited to qualify for the Special Forces because of his marksmanship. It's good marksmanship. So he goes through the Q course and all this stuff, becomes Special Forces. He's down in with the Contra Rebels.
Yep.
All that stuff's going on. Reagan's president.
Yep.
And they're going down there and they're just doing a bunch of, they're passing out flyers and stuff. A lot of propaganda type stuff. And they're coming back, and all of a sudden, a missile, whatever, rocket hits the front truck. They're in 2 trucks, and they all jump out, and because they're now being ambushed. All the ammo was in that front truck, so they just got their clip. That's it. And he's behind a tree, and he's getting shot at. He says, "You can't get low enough." And he goes, and he had sap all over his back because the bullets were going right through the tree. And his sergeant or whatever, he's counting the bullets. He's like, and there's like 4 guys. There turns out to be 4 guys. And he says, "This guy's almost out of ammo. John, I need you to charge him." So he charged him. He had his gun. He emptied his clip. He's like, I'm 30 yards from this guy. And because the adrenaline's hitting so hard, I missed him. I emptied my clip.
Yep.
And I missed him. And I was in there because of my marksmanship. He goes, people have no idea what it's like to be in a real gunfight.
No, I mean, you don't. I mean, it's you don't.
We have, so I'll see, John and I have no fucking clue the level of adrenaline that you guys hit.
So one of the big things I can say when it comes to like training and everything, one of the more memorable engagements I've ever been in, dude, we had this fucking awesome truck. It was and Marines call them MTVR, 7 tons. It's 6x6 freaking big ass truck. My company gunny at the time, like his whole goal was to fucking make this thing as bad as he could. We called it Mad Max. I'll show you all a picture tomorrow. But it was a freaking Oshkosh 6x6.
Oh yeah.
And so you had a ring mount over the freaking cab, and then a freaking pedestal mount in the back that had 50 cals on it.
Fuck.
Behind the cabs, on pedestal mounts on either side, was Mark 19. So for Mark 19, that's a 40 millimeter freaking grenade launcher, automatic. So basically an automatic freaking machine gun freaking grenade launcher. And then at the back of the freaking cab was a was like a 7.62 automatic machine gun type deal. We still had M60s, which is like a Vietnam era machine gun, and 240s on those. But we would travel without a round in the chamber, so to be able to engage when you got shot at, you would have to charge for the 50 cals. You'd have to pull the freaking charging handle at the rear, send it forward, and then you could start shooting. And just outside of Fallujah, we were rolling down the highway, and we started getting shot at. And the training was good enough that as soon as we started getting shot at, I didn't, like, my very first thought was to just grab the charging handle, pull to the rear, and then start engaging. It wasn't to just try to start shooting. So your training goes a lot into it. It's called what we call muscle memory.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you get these things and you get them ingrained in your brain, and then those, you go from there. So like when your brain goes numb from everything that's going on around you, you just automatically respond to that muscle memory and start doing those types of things.
So stupid as it sounds, but Forrest Gump. I remember watching Forrest Gump, and they say, part of it said, the reason we tell you that is when I tell you to drop, it's because I don't want you to ask why, because then you got a bullet through your head.
Yep.
Just fucking drop. So the muscle memory. So the muscle memory, you just pulled it and you started firing.
Yep, exactly.
That makes, but I know it sounds silly, but for the civilians here, I mean, that's how
that is what it is.
Yeah.
Like it's muscle memory. It's like as a mechanic, like man, I hate putting myself on the spot like this. So if you have something that happens and you automatically know as soon as that thing happens, like, okay, well, freaking. It was the Jeep, like we were talking about not too long ago. So, like, no crank, no start. It won't, like, I turn the key, nothing fucking happens. What is the thing that's going to cause a no crank, no start in a manual?
Check the battery first.
Well, but for this case, a manual, it's going to be your freaking clutch. Neutral safety switch or your clutch switch. Yeah. That's exactly how it works. Like, okay, well, I fucking push the clutch in, I turn the key, it doesn't crank.
Yeah.
Fucking clutch switch, right?
And that's what it was.
And so, that was what it was.
That's so funny, though.
After the roundabout whole fucking thing. On that case, though, I did check it before I put it in.
Right. Welcome to our world.
By the way, if something works perfectly until you work on it, go back to what you did.
That was the guy before he spoke.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like, I kind of, I digress a lot here, but like.
No, but that's.
It's the big days in my freaking time in 04, 05 and my deployment over there. It was November 2nd.
So 04?
04. So 04. November 2nd of 04.
Yep.
That was election day. I want to say it was either November 2nd or November 4th of 04. It was one of those 2 days, but they... In the early morning hours for us, because we're freaking 9 hours or whatever ahead of the East Coast, and it was election day in the U.S., that's when they decided to hit us. And so, I mean, it was, in hindsight, what it was supposed to be. I was just outside. So we were Abu Ghraib. We were about, I want to say it was like 15 miles outside of Fallujah. Okay. And it was supposed to be a major coordinated attack on our freaking compound because they wanted to fucking prove a point or whatever to the Americans because it was election day. And so... God, I guess it would have been about freaking 9:10 a.m. 09 1000.
In what month again?
November. So it was like November 2nd, November 4th of 04.
November 04.
I think it was November 2nd.
Okay.
If I recall, man, my freaking shit blurs together now.
Yep.
Too many booms. But
I'm gonna look. Go ahead, keep talking.
It was supposed to be a major coordinated attack on our installation. And so they came in, they fucking hit us hard, and actually that was the first day I ever got to see an Apache freaking come in, freaking do a gun run on a fucking city. That was pretty fucking dope. And they came in and they hit us hard. It was supposed to be, so they hit with a, man, I can't remember if it was a V-bit or if it was just a freaking, I want to say it was a vehicle-borne IED on one of our entry control points. And then it just fucking went haywire. Like, the entire fucking village outside of us just fucking lit up on our freaking paws. And I was at a position and I was facing north, and we had like a bunch of the fucking whatever grass-ass fields that those guys were growing over there. And I hear what sounded like 250 cals going off right behind me. I was like, there ain't no fucking 250 cals, like dual 50 cals over there. And I look out the back of my fucking post, and there's a fucking Apache just fucking lighting up the fucking village across the freaking fob from where we're at, just like fucking laying down. And so we got through that post, we freaking, you know, staved that attack or whatever, and then we go back to the freaking, in that time we were living in the cell blocks there, like there were 6 of us living in a fucking cell, like literally we still had the fucking doors to the bars. I think I might have the fucking picture somewhere if y'all want to see them tomorrow.
I'd love to.
And like the fucking bars to the fucking prison cells that we were living in, and they
March Air Force Base, that's what I got to talk about tomorrow.
March, there we go.
Yeah.
And so we're all like fucking partying because we just fucking like freaking
kick some
gaffed off this motherfuckers, freaking like, I mean, that what's the milkshake brings home my boys to the yard, like, dude, that was the song they were fucking blaring, like it was going all the way across the fucking cell block. And then all of a sudden fucking round 2, so they detonated their fucking V-bit early, so it was supposed to be one like combined attack, and they freaking detonated it separately. And so we all got fucking called up in our freaking time off post. And man, this is probably one of the funniest stories I had while I was on deployment, but we ended up freaking, I guess they got reports to our freaking our COC that there was somehow, so the hard facility, or where the hard criminals were being held, was run by civilian contractors. Well, allegedly the civilian contractors had lost like an M4 and a freaking M9 or an M16 or M9 to the freaking prisoners. And so they're like, hey, we need a fucking squad to go in here and clear out these hard sites. So my squad gets called up. We start going in through and clearing it. And so, you know, at this time, I'm still 6'2", 6'3", probably at this time, probably about 160, 170. So I'm still a beanpole, but not a super beanpole. But I had this buddy of mine, and I won't throw his name out there just to be freaking, I don't know if he'd be appreciative of it, but so he looks like a fucking 12-year-old boy, like super fucking baby face motherfucker. And as we're walking through, because all these prisoners have fucking windows to the outside, they're like, fuck you, fuck America, fuck George Bush, fuck you. And they're like, you know, cursing us out and everything. And my buddy, who looks like he's 12, they're like, hey you, I want to fuck you. You're so beautiful, I want to fuck you.
That's funny.
It was the funniest shit ever. So we cleared out. Turns out they didn't have any of these fucking guns that they said they did. But yeah, that was probably one of the big days there.
That's fucking funny.
So you know what's crazy? So November 2004, I'm taking what I'm doing. I'm probably riding my mountain bike, living life like it's normal.
I'm 40 years old. I'm working at UTI. I'm an education manager.
I'm teaching. You're right.
Yeah.
And you guys are out there putting your life on the line.
Yeah.
So we can.
I would say having fun, but.
Well, you could say whatever you want, but I think you're at
a different level.
Yeah, you're at a level that you know, maybe that was fun at that point, that moment of time. But
that's crazy though. Yeah 2004, nuts, 40 years old.
Yep.
One funny side story to that too, though, about that time. We have what's called the entry control points, the ECPs. You know, we had 2 of them we'd have for military, which was super easy because we knew who was coming in, who was going out. So and then we'd had the civilian side. Man, that thing's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, there you go.
And then we had the civilian side where you'd have to clear everybody that came through. Well, the guys, if you know there weren't many civilians, they get bored. And so what they did is they found a fucking piece of pipe. It was probably about 3-inch diameter, 4-inch diameter, something like that. And we'd have fucking fires because it would be cold as shit in the winter over there. So they'd find this fucking metal pipe that was like 3-4 inches wide, and they'd stick it in the base of the fire, and they'd find a way to prop it up. And then they would fucking grab a soda can. I guess it's probably about 3 inches wide. So they'd throw a soda can down in it, and they'd fucking punch a fucking grapefruit and orange from the chow hall. And then once it got big enough of a fucking fire, it would cause the soda can to explode, and it would shoot the fucking orange out the
fucking shit. I realize that military guys have the strangest fucking humor.
Dude, it was hilarious.
When they're dealing with shit like that, they got to, you know, That's crazy.
My buddy John, I was talking about, he got in trouble because him and a few buddies, so they were in the jungles, and when he got to his first camp, he got picked when he got deployed. He flew in, and then they picked him up in a Jeep. It was pitch black. Jeep drivers were night vision. They're driving in the jungle. They stopped and they said, "Your camp is, so many clicks that way."
Man, I can imagine that shit.
So he's walking through the jungle on his own, pitch black, and the monkeys were throwing shit at him. So the next morning, there's a few new guys. They're like, "Man, but the monkeys, man, they're throwing shit." So they go out there and they shoot monkeys, and they get in big trouble for that because they're very close to the enemy line or whatever.
Yeah.
And just the fact that they were firing, they're like, "Man, that could have set off some shit."
Kind of like a little bit quick shot into the future. We on one of my future deployments in 2016, 2017, somewhere around there. We had some guys doing some training in Malaysia, and our chaplain. So for viewers that don't know, chaplain's kind of like the religious guy that's in charge of everything, kind of priest, preacher type guy.
Yep.
He was driving his rental vehicle going to and from the freaking positions, and he said he's driving down the road, and this fucking monkey runs out in the road and right in front of him, so he has to slam on the brakes, and the monkey freaking...
Those monkeys.
throwing shit, literally.
Yeah.
That's fucking funny.
I was like, dude, you're fucking kidding me. He's like, no.
Here's my 50 caliber.
Yeah, here's my 50 caliber, boy. And then I guess
can we do a second podcast with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck yeah. This is I think we've got a lot of great information.
This is fascinating to me.
It's super fascinating.
Yeah.
And I'll share my what's a base down there?
The over here?
Yeah, the March base.
March Air Force Base with you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he could share the what story?
The jail story.
Jail story with you tomorrow, but I don't want to put that on camera.
Yeah.
But no, definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you're okay with that, I just think I thought we'd get it all, but we haven't got deep yet. And if that's okay with you, I'd love to come back.
Yeah, definitely, because I've with the whole, again, back to the whole committing yourself to I'm just done,
dude.
And I think that's where I'm not a psychologist, but I think that's where they need to start.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's so. When I met you, I remember course 101, basic engines.
Yep.
This fucking giant walks in with I don't think you had the dog the first day.
But I brought him in, though.
Second or third day, you brought him in.
And then he scared the shit out of Amber when she...
Yes, yeah. And he comes in and this fucking giant. And I used to always ask, who's military? Because I'd always tell him, thank you, my son did 8 years in the Marine Corps. Thank you for your service, I'm like, he's a fucking giant, but he's the nicest guy in the world. And then Sydney told me, she's like, he's the most combat veteran we've ever had on campus.
I don't know about that, but...
That's her exact words, is he's got the most combat record we've ever had on campus. And I'm like, holy shit. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, and he's so nice. And she's like, why do you think he's so nice? And I don't know if it was her or someone asked me that. And I said, probably because he's seen ugly, and he doesn't want to go back there. He's okay with not being there, But
that's the thing, and it's like I said, I try to tell my kids all the time, and it comes with age. If it doesn't need killed, it doesn't need killed.
So, you ever watch the movie The Patriot with, what's his name?
Oh, God.
Mel
Harrison Ford.
Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson. And he's this dad, he's got these kids, and and then the war kicks off, and he has to bring back the bad. So it just amazes me that some of you guys have that experience, but you don't have to show it. And I'm not saying you do, I'm just saying that... it just amazes me, and that's I appreciate you sharing. I really do.
Man, I literally my whole goal with this, other than to get to hang out, and drink whiskey with y'all guys, is and smoke cigars, is to be able to there's too many people that freaking lose their lives to stuff that is avoidable, but
fuck.
I don't want to go down the path too far, but man, when you are there in that spot, you don't want to reach out to anybody. Fuck it, I'll throw it out there. I've been there. I've been close. I've been on the fucking verge of that shit, and you don't want to fucking reach out. Like, you don't want help.
Why do you think that is? Because you know that whatever they say is not going to matter?
Pretty much, yeah. Like, there's nothing anybody can tell you at that point. And I mean, if we're going to do a couple parter, I mean, I'll do my best to kind of like,
whatever you feel comfortable sharing, though. Please don't hurt yourself.
Whatever I can do to help to try to keep from like anything that's happening to anybody else. And I mean, one is too many.
100% agree.
And
from what I understand, we're down to 19 a year.
Man, I fucking hope so. That's still too many.
That's 19 too many.
But man, I really think that it does stem from that. Like, you have committed yourself to like your life. I mean, it like when it like bare bricks basic. Your life doesn't fucking matter.
So you've got more experience on this than we do, because neither one of us have been there. Yep. So I would rather listen to you than to me or John, because we've got theories. You got experience. So I appreciate that. I appreciate hearing that, and it's going to give us a new insight. It's
coming from a real spot.
I just wish the government would whoever would fucking like. Put your assets towards finding like the root cause. Don't try to do the Band-Aid, and that's what always happens. Like, you put the Band-Aid on it. Like, okay, well, here's pound 988 or whatever freaking hashtag, whatever the fucking kids call it nowadays.
Yeah.
That's not the answer. That's a fucking like, oh, well, we're trying to help. Like, no, the freaking root of it is that your life doesn't matter. You're putting it fucking your life is meaningless. You're not here for any other. Yes, expendable.
Take you out like the trash.
So one of my fucking songs that's like my guilty pleasure is "Expendable Heroes" by freaking Metallica. And I mean, that's, if you listen to that shit, it goes right up that fucking alley.
It's a suicide song.
Yeah,
it's a fucking suicide song. Yeah, that's what I don't understand is like when my son got out, he was on 6 different meds. Make him sleep, make him wake, but it's like, you don't give him meds to fix him. You work on his brain to get him fixed.
Speaking of, if we're gonna turn this into a multi-part, like, for anybody that we want to put this out there to, like, I just want to kind of give my stuff that like helps me. Find your purpose. What your purpose in life is. Why you're here. Why you do what you do. My aspiring goal, I want to be an elk hunter. 2 years in a row I've put in for an Arizona tag. As of right now, I haven't gotten an Arizona tag for elk right now. But I tried my fucking best to stay fit so that way for an elk or whatever anything comes down the line. Like, my fucking what gets me through is I love spending time in nature. I try to at least once a month, freaking, if not more, I love to go fucking hike. And it not just these like, oh, I'm going to do a 3-mile loop, freaking, like, no, I want to fucking push myself. Like, I want to go do freaking a hike up to fucking some summit, freaking 10,000 feet, freaking hit a summit and stuff like that. I like to, I think one of my biggest things that I have not been doing that since I've been out here that was a huge help to me is archery. I got big into archery.
Yeah, you were telling me you were doing that.
Weekly I would do it back out there. Yeah. And
I had to drive my truck today because I'm doing archery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would bring my bow in, and I would go to freaking the range afterwards, and I would go shoot my bow. And the big thing about archery is you have to focus on the fundamentals. Like, you are fully invested in that. Like, there's nothing going on in your brain besides shooting that fucking bow. Like, are my feet in the right position? Which, when it comes down to actually shooting a freaking animal, like, that's one thing. Like, it all marksmanship comes down to sight alignment and trigger control. But
sight alignment, trigger control. Call that. I'm impressed.
I mean, it really is any kind of freaking marksmanship, whether it's freaking guns, pistols, freaking or rifles, pistols, freaking bow.
Come down to basics.
Very basic. Sight alignment, trigger control. If you can hold sight alignment, trigger control, you can hit your target. But I mean, that archery and freaking being outdoors has been what's for me. But that doesn't mean that's what's for everybody. Find what fucking works for you. What are you missing in your life? Search your life. What do you want out of your fucking life? And then that's how you find what you need to keep moving forwards.
Go after it.
So my son, when I lost him, I had a group called the Legacy Vets, the Vietnam Vets.
Yep, nope, I know those guys.
Club.
Yep.
I got a good friend that said it. They came up to the house because I asked them to carry his urn into Riverside Cemetery, and little short guy, probably about 5'6", but about 5'6" wide, and
that's how we all
they
are.
were the ones that they were all afraid of. He's like, he's the one that knows how to kill the fastest. And he walked to me, he goes, fucking tell me. I said, tell you fucking what? He goes, tell me what was going on. I said, he bought his ranch. He's like, yeah. I said, he bought his fucking brand new truck. He said, yeah. I said, his girl said he should marry him. He said, yeah. I said, then he left. He goes, because he had nothing to fight for.